Welcome to another episode of the Drift Car Build-Off presented by Spec Clutch and Koyo Rad.
Today we're going to give you a proper rundown on our E46 M3 Cabriolet, including an explanation of why it's the cheapest one money could buy.
Welcome to my E46 BMW M3 convertible drift car. Is this not the coolest thing? Or what, DP?
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, right? For a drift car?
Yeah.
So the backstory is, originally we were looking for an E46 M3. I really wanted a coupe. I thought that would be an awesome drift car to build. And from what I saw on Craigslist, actually, they're pretty cheap in the US. So you can buy them for anywhere from a really beat up one for like $3,000, a four-door automatic, to, you know, $5,000, $6,000 and up. But when I was looking in Canada, I could not come across one that was less than like $7,000, $8,000, and those ones were pretty beat up too. So, as luck would have it, I came across this, which is an 01 M3 six-speed manual cabriolet. And after a lot of wheeling and dealing, I bought this car for, get ready for it, $5,500 Canadian, which is $4,100 US. And I mean, at that price point, I said to myself, you know what? Why not? I think it's a really cool car. Yes, the motor might be a little bit more expensive to work on. The cost of the parts may be more expensive as well, but I mean, it's kind of cool to think about this as a drift car, right, DP?
It is, for sure.
Like if we put a cool roll bar in, you can
Yeah.
drop the top, go do some pretty cool drifting with it. So the one catch was when I bought this car is it didn't come with any wheels. So originally we were like, the guy didn't want to go down off of his $6,000, but I said, listen, you know, the car is kind of beat up and we'll get to that in a moment. But he had some stock M3 wheels with some winter rubber. And I said, well, what if you take the wheels and tires off? Will you knock another $500 off? And he said, yeah. So that is why it is on these Koenig Ultra Forms. So these are an 18 by 9.5 plus 35 with, of course, our Zestino rubber. But we will get to all this setup once we get modifying on this car. Today, I just kind of wanted to go over all the problems with this car, because buying a $4,000 M3, well, comes with a little bit of issues. Like, there's a stud that is actually broken, one of the wheel studs that's broken in the hub here. So I'm hoping that's an easy fix. I've already told myself with this car, I'm gonna go to these are bolts. I don't know why I called it a stud, but we're gonna be going to studs on this car, so I don't have to deal with anything like this again. The next thing is on this vehicle, you can see the hood has seen better days. Apparently, it flew up and it miraculously did not shatter the windshield, but bent this all up. If I pop the hood here, actually, let's see, I gotta figure out where everything is here. Oh, takes a little bit of getting used to there. Yep, like I said, lots of dents here. You can see there. It's missing a grill. The other one's a little bit loose, but there are actually no hood struts. So for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, whether the mechanism here failed or the hood wasn't latched properly, but this thing came up, went around for a twirl, and ended up, well, being kind of destroyed. So I think the one thing that I'm going to replace is this hood, because I still want this drift car to look good. So I've got that on the list. Otherwise, like, it's a little beat up in terms of paint. You can see it's got a bunch of paint peeling down there. It has 297,000 kilometers on it. So almost 300K. I think that's about
200,000 miles?
Yeah, around
Yeah.
200,000 miles.
Yeah.
So it's definitely getting up there. But the bright side is it doesn't have a check engine light, which is kind of miraculous when you think about a 300K car, DB.
Especially a 300K BMW.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, you know what? Let's look at the engine again. Oh yeah, see, there we go. Like, it's not in that bad a shape. So I don't know. I'm hoping the previous owner had done his homework on it, had it maintenanced and kind of serviced when it needed to. So I'm expecting us to do some work on this motor, but for the most part, I think it should be good because there's no check engine lights. I drove it a couple times. It seems to drive well. The clutch is a little iffy. It's a good thing that this series is sponsored by Spec, so we're going to be replacing it. And that's the one thing that I don't necessarily want to get into all the maintenance work first. I kind of want to make this car look cool, like do all the upgrades on it and then do the maintenance, because I feel like it may be tedious. I'm not sure if all you guys are going to love watching me and DP tear this whole thing out. We're going to pull the motor and the trans, drop it down, have a look at it. I think we're going to have to do the rear subframe, right, DP?
Yeah, they tear in this car.
They tear in the back, so the subframe. So we're pretty much going to be pulling this whole car apart. That's going to be a lot of work. But I figured, you know what? Why don't we do the cool stuff first, which includes like installing a seat, maybe doing the coilovers, like getting this car to the position that I want it to be, and then working on all the mechanical stuff. So let's drop the top on here and let's see what we're dealing with inside. Imagine a
it
drift
feels up
car
at the back too.
doing this. Come on.
I want to see the top come off while you're doing a drift.
Well, I don't know
That's
about
a life
that.
goal right there.
See
buddy.
those noises that it's making?
Yeah.
Those are a little worrisome.
Yes,
because
they
I
are.
wonder how long this top is actually going to work. But for the time being,
did
look at
the
that.
trick.
It goes down, and then I can roll all the windows down.
Oh, look at that.
Look at this thing, huh?
Old dentist spec. I love it.
Isn't it? It's pretty awesome.
It is.
And inside, it's actually in pretty decent shape. I love that it's black on black. Obviously, that's pretty rad. There's really nothing of the ordinary that's too bad in here. I did figure out that for some reason, some of the speakers are intermittent. I don't know if it's like an amp in the back, so the stereo works for a bit and then it cuts out and it's dead. So that's a bit of an issue. But otherwise, like, this car is in decent shape. So, which is
the price and the mileage for sure.
I know, which is really awesome. I mean, that's the thing. I guess there's not a lot of people that love their convertibles.
Yeah.
So not like these cars are worth a ton of money, but still, it's pretty good. The other issue that this car does have is quite a significant amount of rust.
Yeah.
Which I hate, and I hate so much. But I just, again, the deal was too good. I couldn't pass it up, but you can see there's some rust down along here, right here,
Yep.
and I'm gonna leave it. It's a drift car.
Yeah.
If this
I'll
miraculously
try to knock that off with the
becomes
front
super
wheels.
cool, then maybe in the future I'll do something with it. But right now, that is not gonna happen. The rear, same thing. There's a little bit of clear coat peeling underneath this area. Like, the trunk is pretty clean. Again, a couple of rust spots here and there, but overall, like, this car is in pretty damn good shape. I know for a fact, I think the coilover, or I should say the spring on that side is shot, like it's broken. There's a massive clunking coming from that side. So we'll obviously fix that with some coilovers. Interior wise, like I said, racing bucket, steering wheel. I wanted to get the BMW drift guy's opinion. How do you make the parking brake work like an actual drift brake? I know you can get those like buttons that lock this out. I don't know if you get them for the BMW or not, but definitely post in the comments if you have suggestions on that. We've already got some seat rails figured out, and I think it's time we look underneath this car because I'm a little nervous. I haven't seen what it looks like underneath, but so far, you guys tell me, I think this is worth $4 grand. I definitely do. Oh, listen to this thing. It's gonna sound good drifting. Maybe it needs an exhaust, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
A good angle.
Yeah, it's a decent angle. It needs more. Let's scratch those new Ultra Forms, buddy.
All right. It does sound good though, right?
It does, yeah, it runs nice.
Like, it seems to run pretty good.
Like, runs like a new car.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't ripped it, but we will soon find out how well that performs. Well, here we are underneath, and the first thing that you can see is there's a lot of oil, grime.
Not to mention
Right,
rust on those tie
Oh,
rods.
the tie rods, yeah. I'm gonna start ordering parts. This I'm gonna have to replace. Suspension's gonna be replaced for sure. I already looked, the bump stops are all rotten. But for the most part, up front here, it doesn't look too bad.
Well, the
There's
front
definitely
bumper's had
oil.
better days.
Well, the bumper, of course.
Yeah.
300K, what are you gonna get for that? But I can see under this under tray, there's a considerable amount of oil in the transmission area. So I don't know if the transmission's
Leaking?
gonna need some seals or the back main seal or something like that. The exhaust isn't bad. I actually don't plan to change the exhaust out. The fuel lines and the brake lines look good. That is a huge bonus.
Yeah.
Usually when these are a car with this many miles and kilometers, this stuff will rot out. And the moment you touch it, it bursts and then you got to replace all the lines. So that looks good. However, the rear subframe, well,
Yeah.
it
little
is
damp back in here,
pretty
right?
rotten. It's damp, which I mean, damp is good for me because that means it protected it from the rot. But this area is not looking so hot. If you come to the other side, DP, you guys will be able to see like all of this is pretty rotten.
Yeah.
So this will have to come down. I can already sense this is going to be a huge struggle. That's going to be an amazing episode for sure, watching us work on that. As I mentioned, the spring here,
Oh, yeah.
I can almost pull it out.
Yeah, I can see it.
It
popping
is
around there.
broken. So
Wow.
yeah, it's bad. It's definitely not good. I checked on the other side, like this one's in place, so it's definitely not a problem of too much droop, which this car has a load of.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Back here, the muffler, well, this side's good. We got two tips that are looking...
Well, this one's dented here. but
Okay, but this one's
that
next
one's
level
fully
dented.
crumpled, yeah.
This is like somebody ran into a curb or something.
Yeah, I would
No
say.
big deal. I'm gonna, I think, just chop this exhaust off and
Bozo Zuka pipes,
yeah,
bro.
just get some pipes coming out here. We'll figure that out. My problem is I don't like the look of single exit tips on these cars.
Yeah.
So you kind of need the quad tips, which requires a lot more work in terms of having to, you know, run another pipe all the way to the other side. But I think it's worth it just for the aesthetic of it. Like just having a tip or two tips come out on this side and have this kind of sitting as is. I don't like it. So we're probably going to do a quad tip, no muffler setup here. I'll grab some old Vibrant pipes that I got kicking around and do that.
How about an Akrapovic exhaust? That way the exhaust will be worth more than the car.
yeah. You know, if Kropovich wants to get in touch with us and send us an exhaust system for this, 100%. Well, I think that's a full breakdown of what is right and wrong with our $4,000 Drift M3. I'm actually really excited for this car. I don't think there's a lot of people that build M3s like this in a drift car, so I think it'll be a pretty cool thing for you guys to follow along. In terms of what we're gonna do, again, I'm just trying to keep it simple. I don't wanna get into too many angle mods. I wanna see how this car drifts just stock-ish with like the typical bolt-ons, coilovers. I'm pretty sure the diff is good, so I'm gonna leave the diff as is right now. It's already a clutch type from the factory. Do some brakes, maybe a few minor mods, but the engine staying stock, I don't really think I need more power at this point, and really these motors don't respond that well to mods. I'm not gonna pick up 50, 60 wheels, so it's not worthwhile right now. The big thing is to get this car running properly, which means going over the motor, because these motors do require maintenance. If it hasn't been done, the last thing I wanna do is take the car out with DPZ and not be able to drift because of a mechanical failure. That is not my style. So there is a lot of cool stuff coming up. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button if you want to follow along. And as always, thank you for watching. We will be back very soon working on this thing.
We're never stupid.